Hello, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. I'm gonna get out of that main music because it's very loud. It's always just very, very loud. I also gotta turn Nursemon off. Boop, there we go. Yeah, don't need her for this. But welcome on back, everybody. Looking forward to a golden. I know you can't hear him right now, but looking forward to hearing that tea get spilled. Sorry about the little bit of a delay to start. Cleaned my bathroom, which is, pretty close by. And yeah, the basement basically smells of bleach. So I wanted that to kind of air out a little bit before I start talking too much. Just 'cause, obviously. And it's good now. It's pretty good. I'd give it more time than I really needed, but just 'cause. I hope everybody has been doing well. Good old tea. We are back. It's good old Eden of Grisaia. I didn't cancel this time. I was late, but I didn't cancel. I did not cancel. I'll always take that as a good time, a good day. So, yeah, we're literally just going to continue. That's it. We're just continuing on from where we left off, which, where did we leave off? A little more of introspection with Yuji, kind of thinking to himself. And how they're kind of just keeping him around. And he's just, like, really bored. He's bored. There's nothing to do. He can't even potentially, off himself in his cell because it's designed so that he can't do something like that. He's constantly being monitored. And he had, like, a introspective conversation with, Asako in his head. Funnily enough. Yeah, weirdly. He had an entire conversation with her in his own head. Which is a strange thing, but, yeah, that's just how he is. Oh, God. Ugh. Ugh. Oh, my damn nose right now. Really? You kidding me? Ooh. Okay. But we got two very important special things, though, however. Besides the Yuji stuff, we briefly tune back in with good old Chizuru and her failed attempts to start a new school around Japan. So she goes to drown her sorrows at, basically an izakaya and stuff. But then all of a sudden has a smartphone delivered to her. And when she picks it up, fucking Thanatos, Kazuki's on the line and is trying to rope her into a potential thing she's doing. Like, got a perfect piece of land for you could use for your school. Just go to this place. It'll be totally free. We'll provide stuff for you, so it's not a waste of your time. So she's roping her into it. We then cut back to JB's cell while she's just kind of absentmindedly watching the TV that's there and mowing down on some, like, popcorn. Kazuki sends her a message with, like, a ticker message, like a ticker time and stuff. So she's somehow also roping in JB, who is imprisoned at the moment. And yeah, we're just getting right to saving Yuji today. That's what today is. Finally starting that rescue operation. So yeah, we're gonna get into it. We're gonna see what crazy train this is gonna take us on. And hopefully we don't go off the rails. But it's Grisaia, so it's always gonna go off the rails. Always. Because that's just Grisaia. I'm gonna be doing a lot of talking today. Again. Alright. Let's do this. At long last, the day of the decisive battle had dawned. The time was 6:30 a.m. Of course. After a night of sound, indulgent sleep, Michiru woke up to the smell of miso soup wafting gently through the air. Oh, so it's a very calm start to the day. When she peered out the window through half-opened eyes, she saw Machina standing at attention with her fists pressed to her thighs, looking up at a big catch banner that was flying from the prow of the boat. Hello there. Hey, Nick, how's it going, buddy? Sachi was standing some distance behind her by a long table with a white tablecloth. It held small cups of water. She had apparently set up a traditional departure for battle ceremony. Of course, today was the day, wasn't it? They were finally going to carry out the operation. You doing good? Good! Glad you're doing good. Yeah. Alright, good. You guys are definitely hearing that. Still rather dazed, Michiru looked around her, trying to help her sluggish mind make sense of things. Her eyes found Yumiko, already sitting in front of her PC and carefully monitoring every new development. Amane was a little further in the aft. Her back was turned, but it looked like she was busy making breakfast. Last night, Michiru had seen her descending? Oh. Some shijimi clams Sachi had harvested, so those would probably be on the menu this morning. Damn, clams in the morning? That's some hoity-toity shit right there. Oh man. Guess I'm the last one up again. Sitting up in her cot with her sleeping bag still wrapped around her, Michiru gazed drowsily at her friends for a moment, then reluctantly began to emerge from her cocoon. She's so out of it. As she transferred the freshly cooked rice from their iron pot to a serving container, Amane called out loudly to the others. Responding with alacrity... alacrity? That's probably a word I've seen before. Definitely. Makina and Sachi proceeded to carry the main dish, sides, and miso soup to the boat's dining table. As they worked, Yumiko was filling everyone's individual bowls with rice from the serving container. And once Michiru returned from washing her face, she headed over to the kitchen area to help Amane rinse and clean the things she'd used while cooking. They'd only been living on this boat together for a little while, but without even realizing it, they divvied up these daily tasks between them. I was probably divided, but I said divvied. Whatever. Eventually, once everyone had gathered around the table, a cheerful, "Shall we eat?" from Sachi marked the beginning of the meal. It wasn't like they bought into Amane's stance on raising your blood sugar levels slowly, but for some reason, everyone started off by reaching for the salad. I mean, I'll take a salad as an entire meal. Are you kidding me? I will take a regular-ass, bought from stores, in a bag, Caesar or just plain iceberg lettuce salad. And I will just have that, because I like the cool crunch of the lettuce. It's just satisfying. It's just really, really satisfying. And as they began to eat, Yumiko looked around the table and cleared her throat.
食べながらでいいから今後の各自の実動割を確認しておきましょう。まずはイリスさんね。チャートは持った？
さっきユミちゃんがプリントしてくれたやつな。ちゃんと持ってんのよ。本日午前8時作戦行動開始。自転車のリアカーに狙撃機材を乗せて自走にて狙撃地点へ移動。
You are loading up your sniping gear, which is a heavily modified, lightweight fucking Barrett 50 cal. Like, Jesus.
狙撃地点であるホテルザ・ウィッツモールトンへ向かい、到着後に機材を室内に搬入、設置。
We don't want to get sued. It's not the Ritz-Carlton. It's the Witz-Marlton, guys. The Witz-Marlton. We'll then go over to McDonald's to grab some good old fries, and after that, I don't know, we'll go somewhere else. Another random off-brand place. The simplicity of just change the first letters but leave the rest of it the same is timeless, and I hope it never goes away. I hope it never goes away. Sorry, just gonna answer something really quick. Sorry, I just want to answer that really quick. Whew.
すべての準備が終わったら、自転車からリヤカーを外して身軽な状態で狙撃着弾点及び周辺環境の調査を実施、狙撃の準備を進める。17時までにはホテルに戻り指示を待つ。そんな感じ？
That works.
そういうこと。ホテルの部屋は51階のスイートをもうネットで予約してあるわ。あなたのお母様の名前で。
Oh, fuck that bitch.
なんでお母さんの名前にした？
面倒なことの後始末は全部あなたのお母様になすりつけてしまおうかと思って。ほら、あなたのお母様、今は何かとスキャンダルに敏感だし。
And you basically are the spitting image of your mom. You're just younger. That's about it, but you're the spitting image of her.
現場にいろいろな証拠が残っていても、イリスの名前が表に出ることを嫌えば、勝手に裏からもみ消してくれるかなって。ついでに関係各省からのいろいろな追及とか、追加で請求されるであろう莫大な賠償金も、全部あなたのお母様にドバッと引っかぶっていただこうかと。
やるな、ユミちゃん。俺、お前のそういうねちっこくて陰湿なやり口嫌いじゃねえのよ。いいぞ、面白くなってきた。
陰湿云々のくだりは引っかかるけれど、まあいいわ。
just move on, Yumiko. Just move on.
次は小峰さん。
はい。
強襲突撃要員である小峰さんは、まずは突撃装具の点検、補充不足があれば追加を用意、荷物が多くなるようであればエゾシマリス作戦で対応すること。
Operation Chipmunk?
わかりました。後ほどホームセンターでプラスチックコンテナと物資を購入しておきます。
それが終わったら事前に現場を入念に下見しておいて。おそらくは想定外の事態も起きると思うから、刻々と変化する状況に即時対応可能な体制のまま指定場所で18時まで待機。
了解です。
スオーさんと松島さんはまずはタナトスさんが用意してくれた逃走用車両の受け取りに行ってきて。場所は分かってる？
うん、板橋のショッピングセンターの立体駐車場5階の12番に置いてあるんだよね。場所は地図で確認してあるよ。
Okay. Already have that planned.
ねえ、やっぱ私どうしても車に乗らなきゃダメ。
You gotta deal with it, Michiru.
なんかもうすっかりトラウマで、車に乗れって言われただけで膝がガクガクするし、ドロッとした汗が全身からダラダラ吹き出してくるんだけど。
大丈夫だって。ほら、この前だってちゃんと安全運転してたじゃん。ミラー畳んだまま走ってるおばちゃん車よりずっと安全だってば。
But if I drive slower, I'll be much safer. That's how it works, right? The sign says this is an 80 zone, but if I go 40, I will be extra safe. Isn't that right, dearies? No, goddamn. We have a fucking temporary road right now. They have the posted sign for 50. I usually go about 30 on it. Someone the other day decided, yeah, I'm gonna go like 10, 15. Holy fuck. Like, just, oh my god. I'm glad they decided after, I don't know, a good 5 minutes of me basically riding their ass the whole time to, maybe I should move over to the side and let someone who actually knows what the fuck they're doing go ahead. It's like, God. Yes, it's a gravel and dirt road right now. It doesn't mean you gotta go at a fucking crawl. Ugh.
それに松島さんにはタナトスさんが偽の申請書を発行して手配した風見雄二の個人装備を3桁ナンバーの工作員から受け取る仕事があるのよ。
Okay.
それって私じゃないとダメな仕事？
No.
そうね。なぜだか知らないけど対面交渉的な顔を合わせての取引ってなるとあなたにやらせた方がうまくいくのよね。
Because the airheaded move makes everyone think they're just really good at their job and blending in.
やっぱりパッと見のバカっぽい顔の印象と会話を始めて10秒でわかる気の毒なほどのアホっぷりが交渉相手の心にゆとりを生むのかしら。まあとにかく車と風見くんの装備を受け取ったらその後2人は合流して18時の作戦開始まで指定の場所で車内待機。
わかったわよ。
No, it's okay, Michiru. It's fine.
まあ大体のことはチャートに書いてあるからその通りに行動すればきっとうまくいくわ。
I'm sure nothing is gonna go smooth.
それでぼっちさんは？
ぼっち言うな。私はこの船に残って作戦の総指揮をします。作戦の進行状況はタナトスシステムを経由してほぼリアルタイムで観測可能だし状況に応じて逐一私から指示が出るからタナトスフォンの電源は切らないように。
Okay, good.
もし私との通信が途絶するような事態になったとしてもここへは戻ってこないこと。
Fair enough.
今日この後午前8時の作戦開始と同時にこの船は移動を開始します。
船の操縦はどうするの？
タナトスさんが操縦してくれるわ。そのための衛星ナビシステムなんだし。
Okay, cool. You got an autopilot.
私はこの船で指揮を出しつつ移動して所定の場所で待機。風見くんを奪還したあなたたちと合流して回収。あとはそのまま水上を逃走って形になるわ。
I'm glad they got the boat actually working.
わかった。みんなも自分のやることはわかった？はーい。
You just hear Michiru's just like, yeah, okay. She is so done. She's like, this is gonna suck. I gotta ride with fucking Mane in a car. I gotta pick up equipment from really scary government people.
ご飯おかわりちょうだい。お茶碗半分で。
Hey, Nevermore, how's it going?
はいよ。こんぐらい？
あんがとう。
マキちゃん、おじゃこあるよ。おじゃこ。
あ、いいな。私もそれ欲しい。ご飯おかわり。あと生卵も。
本当に分かってるのかしら。
榊さんは？だからご飯のおかわり。真っ白いご飯におじゃこさん。おいしいおすえ。
いただきます。
There be Thanatos.
おはようございます。タナトスです。
You're the only one who can fucking call these phones, so stop opening with that.
おはよう、チャーリー。
誰がチャーリーよ。
The year is 2026. This game, I think, made back in, like, I don't know what, 2016? When was Eden of Grisaia released? Let's see, Eden of Grisaia. Ooh, looks like I might have been wrong. Possibly. Maybe? Oh, wow, yeah, 2013, sorry. Worldwide in 2017, but... Wow. A fucking Charlie's Angels reference. Does anyone alive even remember Charlie's Angels at this point? Maybe back when it was first released. But even then, that's getting a little less and less. I don't think anyone's had Charlie's Angels on the mind in a very long time. Doing good. The field I was worrying about is starting to look green in patches and still cool temp. Good, good. Glad to hear. I'm doing alright. I was just very tired this morning. So I did not sleep very long. That was all my fault. It is what it is, though. I'm all good now. I remember Charlie's Angels. Never really watched it, but I remember it. I mean, I remember it too. I remember the early 2000s remakes. Fucking Lucy Liu. I'm clueless.
あれジムの方ヘルペス君
Oh, fucks. I swear to God. I swear to God. Yeah, I know we're old. You're older than me, old lady. Okay, no, not there. Okay, there was a Charlie's Angels attempt at a reboot in 2011. Oh, yeah, that's missile lady to you. Okay, ma'am. I hit you with the ma'am. You son of a bitch, Nick. Just ignore the gray in my beard. just ignore the gray in my beard. I take ma'am as a compliment? Damn it. Ah, you win this round. You win this round.
それを言うならフェルプスでしょ。まあいいわ。和やかな朝食中に失礼かとも思ったのだけれど、榊由美子が大切なことを伝え忘れているようだから、あえてインタラプトさせてもらいます。
そっか。
これからの作戦行動は各自別行動となります。
True.
各実動においては電話で通信を行うわけですが、それに伴い各自のコールサインを決めてください。
Alright.
コールサイン
Talk to me, Goose.
要は限定された範囲でのみ通用する別名のことよ。
でもタナトス号なら通信は傍受されないんじゃないの？
その通り。でも電話を使用するときは喋るでしょ。
True.
声に出す以上はどこで誰に聞かれるかわからないし、うかつにも音声をマイクで拾われてしまえば筒抜けです。
Very true.
というわけで、本日午前8時の作戦開始と同時に、各自は決められた呼び出し名称を使うこと。
How much you want to bet Machina or someone's gonna spout out Bottle Blonde for fucking Michiru? Or something stupid like that.
ほほうコールサインという
God
と
damn it.
マーベリックとかグースとかそんなやつな
Okay, fuck you, game. Fuck you, game. You immediately go to the example I used. I used Top Gun as a reference, now you use it as a reference. 100%. Bottle Blonde is the oldest insult to blondes ever. Yeah. And Michiru is in fact a bottle blonde. Dyes it every day, more or less every so often. Very harshly. She's like naturally got dark hair.
名前の付け方に特別なルールはないけれど、フォネティックコードと誤認しやすい名前は避けること。各自が当人を認識しやすい名前にしておくといいわ。あ まり突飛な名前をつけると、これ誰だっけってなるから。
ほんま、わかりやすい名前か。ほんじゃ、チルチルはうざツンデレか。
Dumbass tsundere. God damn it.
ちょっと、何よそれ。長くて呼びにくいじゃないのよ。つか、私うざくないし。
Michiru, I'm sorry, but you actually are kind of a dumbass.
じゃあ、短くしてうざデリ。いやい
Dumdere!
や、さらに短く UT とするのはどうか。
Dumdere! Oh my god.
私が UT なら、あんたは福田抜きね。たぬき顔だし、なんかおめでたい顔してるし。
Think Michiru is a bottle blonde or Ashley Tisdale? Wow. Haven't heard that name in a long time.
福田の木か。まあいい。確かに私は福田の木。そのおめえ、甘んじて受け入れよう。
Yeah, guess what, guys? You don't get to choose your call sign. Everyone else chooses your call sign, and half the time it's going to be something embarrassing. So you gotta deal with it. You don't get to have a cool name you come up with. Everybody else comes up with your name.
それじゃあ、私はクソメイドということで。
Shitty maid. Yeah, like mine's nerd. Yeah. God damn it.
お、自虐かサッチン。
メイド道とは死ぬまで続く修行の道。何年経とうが永遠に未熟者という自戒を忘れないためだよ。
Stop trying to be fucking deep, Sachi.
まあ、本人がそれでいいって言うならいいけどさ。
私は
Someone just gonna say boobs? You are boobs?
あまねえはビッチでいいんじゃね。そのまんまだし、これ以上わかりやすいのはねえのよ。
Alright, she's just slut. Cool.
待って、その流れでいくと私は
Shut in. Neat.
ぼっち
Loner. Okay.
やっぱり予想通りすぎてヘドが出そう。
So we have the Dumdere, Chipmunk Face, Shitty Maid, Slut, and Loner. Wow. I'm gonna lurk, have a good night. Okie dokie, nevermore, enjoy your lurk. You have a good night too, a nice cooler night than the last few weeks.
でもさ、ビッチとボッチって電話で聞き取るとき紛らわしくない？では、無駄ビッチとエバーボッチでどうでしょう？
Turbo Slut! Oh my god.
エヴァはいいや。お願いだからエヴァはやめて。
面倒だからやっぱビッチとぼっちでいいじゃん。美浜ビッチぼっちって言うとなんか若手のお笑いコンビみたいで生かすのよさ。
Oh my god.
まあ、私はどっちでもいいけどさ。
And hey, she's not a slut. She would just literally do anything and everything and let anything and everything be done to her by Yuji. There's a difference. At this stage, life and death are a matter of chance. When we pray to the heavens for survival, we leave ourselves in the hands of fate. I choose, instead, to empty my mind, and to charge toward my end. A chosen death, not a fated one. Should I fall in pursuit of a noble purpose, I shall perish without regrets. Irisu Machina! Fuck off! Machina says this most profound goddamn thing. The little shit. Okay. As the fated hour of 9 a.m. drew near, the public reading of Machina's traditional death poem concluded, and Sachi proceeded to push Yumiko up onto the wooden box that served as their platform.
マ マイクテスマイクテス。それでは間もなく作戦開始時間となりますが、各員出陣の前に基地司令たる榊参謀司令長官のありがたいお言葉を賜りたく存じます。ではどうぞ。
いや、急にそんなことを言われても。
聞くだけでみるみる繊維が高揚する魔法のお言葉をお願いします。
Don't die. Yumiko was severely tempted to explain that magic of that sort was generally referred to as brainwashing. But as she looked around at the faces of her comrades, she realized that this might be her final chance to express her gratitude to them. Aww. As that thought began to sink in, she could feel her hand growing sweaty on the handle of the megaphone Sachi had given her.
ただいまご紹介に預かりました榊由美子です。ここにお集まりの皆様は容易ならざる困難に対し座して待つことを良しとしなかった方たちです。
Wouldn't they be able to hear this? Like, they got things listening to them at all times, right? Pretty sure they would have this shit kind of logged when they're looking back at things that happened. This feels like a bad idea to use the goddamn megaphone.
そのことに関して皆様には感謝の言葉もございません。
But okay, be dramatic.
果たして私たちの進む先に巧妙があるとも断じきれない中、己が可能性を信じて立ち上がった皆さんの勇気に微力なれども良い結果を残したいと私は考えております。はっきりと申しましょう。私たちの進む道は戦場につながっています。賛美を極め多くの困難が待ち受けるであろう戦場でこの私に一体何ができるのかと、そんな風に応納しない日はありませんでした。ことここに至り、私は一人の指揮官として各員の熱意をあたら無駄に散らせることなく、自分たちの行いに大義を見出さんとするよう努力する所存であります。やがては完遂されるであろう大義に燃える皆さんに少しでも明るい道先を示すのが私の仕事であり、人生を圧し犠牲を顧みぬ戦場へ皆さんを送り込んだ私の責務であります。どうか今一度志を共に私にお力をお貸しください。
Oh shit! It actually managed to put together a pretty compelling little speech there. Good job, Yumiko. Drawing her remarks to a conclusion, Yumiko bowed her head to her audience. It started sounding a bit like an election speech by the end there, but as off-the-cuff performances went, she wanted to believe she'd done a fairly good job. Yeah, honestly, not too bad.
ねえ、なんか難しい言葉ばっかりでよくわかんなかったんだけど、結局
要はこれからますますひどいことになるし、下手すりゃ死んじまうかもしれないけど、ここに集まったからにはおめえらの自己責任だから、作戦や指揮に問題があっても文句言うなよってこと。違う。
どの国の軍にあっても召喚の口にする訓示とはそういうものです。
まあ身内に明確な矛先があった方が組織は動かしやすいって言うしね。
わかったわよ。そうやって私をいじめておけばいいじゃない。
No matter how small your organization might be, you always need someone for everyone else to resent. She'd figured that much out by now. Eventually, the clock struck 8, and the time for fun and games had officially come to a close. After exchanging a ceremonial drink of water, the Mihama Women's Corps departed for their various posts.
みんな最後のお弁当を詰めたから一人一つずつ持ってって。
弁当最高。おかずは
マキナのリクエスト通り海苔巻きとサイダーだよ。
なんか組み合わせおかしくない？なんで海苔巻きとサイダーなの？
海軍の航空糧食といえば海苔巻きとサイダーなのよ。
Many years ago, fighter pilots apparently ate norimaki for most of their in-flight meals, since the compact rolls were easy to hold with a single gloved hand. Also, battleships typically had quite a few carbon dioxide fire extinguishers lying around. So a simple cider, easily made from sugar and CO2, was a popular beverage among Navy personnel. These motherfuckers were making goddamn... Oh my god, they were making a drink out of fucking foam. Just take the fire extinguisher, we're just gonna serve cider, guys. Yep. Oh wait, a fire broke out on the ship? Shit. Oh well. Bottoms up. Oh my god. World War II airplanes lacked sophisticated radar equipment, much less convenient GPS navigation. Navigating on long flights was therefore a tiresome task, and mid-flight meals played a crucial role in keeping the pilots energized and focused on their mission. Perhaps Machina felt some connection to these historical events. Perhaps she just had a hankering for sushi. Either way, everyone took their lunches and headed for their posts. Some had more to lose than others. Some were anxious, while others were excited. But as they left their base behind, they held the same lunches to their chest, and the same determination in their hearts. Hell yeah! Alright, so we're starting with Machina.
セーブしないんだからね。
Alright, how far are we now? 55%. We had one oh, good lord. Alright, we got a long way to go still. The Wiz Marlton Hotel, Tokyo, or Witz Marlton Hotel, Tokyo. It just so happened that Machina had stayed at one of these hotels before, although it hadn't been this particular location. Back when her father was still alive, her family had usually spent their summers on the beaches of Miami, and during those trips, they'd always stayed at the local Witz Marlton. Ugh, it's harder to say. From what she remembered of that hotel, it had been notable for its unnervingly well-trained employees, whose remarkable attention to detail meant that all the little things you take for granted were always handled perfectly. Bringing her bicycle to a halt on the sidewalk outside, Machina detached the trailer that held her bags and towed it loudly across the lobby. As she approached the front desk, she reached deep inside herself to call forth the innate talent that she had that had supposedly been passed down through the Irisu bloodline for generations. Namely, the ability to profoundly irritate people for no good reason at all. With a condescending, blatantly insincere smile of the sort that had become an Irisu trademark, she called out to the man standing behind the gleaming counter.
やあ、ごきげんよう。スイーツを予約したイリスだが、部屋の用意はできているかね？
The receptionist found himself faced with a little girl whose round face somewhat resembled that of a cartoon chipmunk. She wasn't wearing or carrying anything that looked particularly expensive. In fact, her outfit looked like something you could buy from a cheap boutique of the kind typically found in large malls. In this particular hotel lobby, she stood out like a sore thumb. When you combined all of that with the fact she'd barged up to the desk and demanded her room in an exceptionally haughty tone, well, 8 out of 10 people would have reacted the way the receptionist did.
どなたか保護者の方は
Bitch.
あ？私を誰だと思っている？イリス清香だぞ。こう見えても今年で38だぞ。
Oh my god.
それとも何か？ガキみたいなやつは客じゃないとでも言うつもりか？おいおいおいおい、嘘だろ。天下のウィッツがまさかの人種差別か？
What the hell is this woman going on about? In a lobby where important people from many different countries regularly came and went, Machina was shouting out insults and accusations with all the vigor of someone trying to provoke an international incident. Understandably enough, the receptionist's face went deathly pale.
申し訳ございませんお客様どうかお気を鎮めてください
なんだとこのイリスキオカに大声を出させてるのは誰だ
She's gonna keep using her mom's name just to keep dragging it through the mud and make more problems for her later.
私でございます申し訳ありません
すぐに謝るぐらいなら最初から喧嘩を売るな
Scowling furiously, Machina shoved her hand into her pocket and retrieved several neatly banded bundles of brand new banknotes, which she proceeded to slap down rudely on the counter in front of her.
ほれ支払いは現金だ多めに払ってやるから余った金でマナースクールにでも通えクズが仕事をしろクビにするぞなめんな清香なめんなこのビッチグソ野郎が
Oh my god, you landed on a little thick, Machina. The ranks of the wealthy included quite a number of extremely short-tempered individuals. Having learned as much from painful experience, the receptionist immediately thought of the little card he always carried with him, which described the proper mindset of a customer service professional. Think of yourself as an herbivore, and your customers as hungry carnivores. As long as you keep that up, you'll never lose your temper with them. He'd been working this job for 3 years now. He knew how to heave quite quiet little sighs without his customers noticing. With a few taps on the keyboard hidden inside the front desk, he pulled up the reservation list. Sure enough, there was a luxury suite reserved in the name of Irisu Kyoka, and a blinking red light indicated that she was a VIP client.
イリス様大変お待たせいたしましたただいまお部屋へご案内させていただきます
うむ清香苦しゅうないぞよ
Oh my god. The man very nearly snorted with laughter at his attempt at pronouncing the word acceptable, but he managed to disguise his amusement by quickly turning away to call for a porter. Hoping to quickly escort this foul-mouthed young princess out of the lobby, the porter hurried over and reached for her luggage.
おい勝手に触るなそれは仕事道具だ
There was honestly no telling what was going to set this woman off. There's no handler for her either. She's just on her own, allowed to do what she wants. This is so bad for everyone else. Everyone on staff had been trained to treat the most troublesome customers with particular care, but right now, they just wanted to get her to her room and out of their hair. I don't need you to describe the room. Don't show me the emergency exits. Just tell me where they are. I'm Irisu Kyoka. After agonizing 10 minutes that Irisu Kyoka spent incessantly repeating her own name, the staff finally succeeded in showing her to her room. When you don't want someone asking you lots of questions, make a nuisance of yourself until they leave you alone. That was something Machina's mother had told her when she was very young. Jesus Christ. Machina despised her mother intensely. But when it came to manipulating other people, she had to admit her advice had some merit. God damn it. After striding into her suite, she immediately kicked out the clerk who was attempting to describe it to her, and then began consuming the small basket of fruit they'd left on top of the table as a welcoming gift. It wasn't as if she was particularly hungry. The room's central table had plenty of surface area and was solid enough to support a person's weight without shaking. She intended to bring it over to the window and use it as a sniping platform, so she needed to clear off the objects sitting on top of it. When she reached out to remove them, however, her hands had reflexively brought the fruit to her mouth. Oh my god. Yeah, you're a fucking chipmunk, alright.
ちょっと
Oopsie daisy. Her cheeks bulging with pleasantly tart strawberries, Machina grabbed hold of the table, which was probably nearly as heavy as she was, and dragged it over to the window. After placing her rifle case on top of it, she retrieved her laptop from her bag. Her program, Shimohaihai-chan, oh, what the fuck? Which quickly calculated the optimal trajectory to a given target based on measurements received from satellites, had recently updated to version 6.04, which enabled it to connect directly to the Thanatos system. The distance to Machina's target would be about 900 meters. Her instructor, the legendary sniper Kazumi Yuji, could probably have landed a shot like this while leafing through a girly mag. Oh my god. However, Machina had never fired a real rifle before, much less experienced actual combat. For her, a long-range shot like this was an unprecedented challenge. Snapping open the fasteners on her case, she spread it out flat on the table and began removing parts of her rifle from the Velcro restraints. First, she connected the lower receiver to the bipod assembly, allowing it to stand on its own. Next, she placed the semi-auto unit, which contained both the bolt and carrier mechanisms, onto the mounting rail, and covered it up with the upper receiver, which she fixed in place with a mid-lock pin. All very simple. Thanks for telling us how to put the rifle together. She didn't know how much faith she could put in a gun some old man from a racket shop had put together. But once it was fully assembled, she didn't notice any unpleasant rattling, and the trigger felt nice and tight against her finger. Well, yeah, the dude's a master gunsmith. And, you know, fucking Asiko's teacher? So, he knows what he's doing. He knows what the fuck he's doing. He managed to turn a 50 cal into a lightweight thing for you with your tiny, like, golden retriever ass. When she pulled on the cocking handle to test out the action, the spring in the impact bumper made a grinding sound that suggested it was a bit on the cheap side, but the level of resistance felt pretty much perfect.
しかしこの色だけはどうにかならなかったのかね
Deal with it. It's gonna be bright pink. Enjoy your bright pink Barrett. Machina did like the color pink, and many of her personal possessions were some shade of it. But when it came to weapons, wasn't a flashy, high visible design basically a handicap? Well, you're not in the jungle, they don't know you're there, so it's fine. Kazumi Yuji would probably have claimed, "You're better off with a rifle that looks like a toy," since intimidating weapons make it harder to relax and pull the trigger gently. But this really did look like a gun made for a moron. Then again, you might make the case that Machina was, in fact, a moron. She couldn't have denied it with any real confidence.
こんなんでちゃんとやれんのかな
I mean, you got no choice. You gotta pull it off. Inexperience gives rise to uncertainty. According to what Yuji had taught her, the maximum range at which you could rely on the power of your rifle and the sophistication of your ammunition was about 2,000 meters. Once you got past that point, your level of experience and dumb luck inevitably played a large role. Fortunately, she'd be firing at well below 2,000 meters, and she had top-notch equipment to compensate for her flaws as a sniper. She also doesn't have a fucking spotter, so she's gotta do 2 jobs at once. So yeah, again, snipers work in teams, guys. You got the actual shooter, and you've got the spotter, which is what Yuji's doing right there. Like, Right there. I don't know. Does my cursor get picked up? Yes, it does. Yeah, what Yuji's doing right here, yeah, that's spotting. He's calling out where the target is, how far away it is, what for her to adjust, all that stuff, so she can focus solely on the shooting part. When it came to precision sniping at long range, your instincts and training were naturally very important, but you also needed to know exactly how to use the specific gear you'd been given. The slightest misalignment of a high magnification scope would throw your shots off course. A simple spike in the temperature could cause a divergence of anywhere from a few centimeters to several meters. This is true also. You're aiming at a target really goddamn far away from you. If you're just, throwing something in front of you, if you're off by a little bit, it's not going to make that much of a difference, but if you're aiming straight and you're ever so slightly off, that distance it is from your intended target just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So you gotta be damn certain. Apart from the wind, you had to be aware of changes in atmospheric pressure, the density of dust particles in the air, the rotational speed of your bullet, and the exact bearing it would follow. Even the combustion speed of the power in your bullet needed to be incorporated into your calculations. And no matter how thoroughly you inputted all this information, it was still very rare for your bullets to land exactly where you anticipated they would. At a distance of 1,000 meters from your target, you'd typically be off by a few meters at least, at first. Not at least, at first. God damn! That is... Holy fuck. That is bright pink. But Makina wasn't a pro. And according to Kazumi Yuji, that meant she had to rely on the power of her equipment. Settling her now assembled rifle on the table, she placed an optical scope equipped with an internal electronic dampener in position on top of it, and attached it via mount ring to the rail system, carefully adjusting the level of torque. Once it was fixed in place, she used the custom jig the old geezer from the racket store had given her to verify that she'd attached it at the correct angle and position. This would guarantee it performed just as he'd intended it to. You got 6 to work with. I think, what was it, like one's a test shot, 4 of them were the actual shots she needed to take, and the last one was the mistake bullet. In case something went wrong with one of her shots, she had one backup. It was tempting to complain about how stingy Thanatos had been, but that wouldn't have been remotely fair. Every one of these cartridges was essentially handmade. Both the rapid combustion powder and the hard primer inside them had been specifically formulated based on the anticipated range. Oh yeah, he basically turned this thing into like a fucking actual semi-auto, like true, like no, he turned the bear into a bolt action. You gotta rack it every time. Motherfucker turned this thing into a goddamn bolt action rifle. The bullets themselves had been polished and then blasted with fine tungsten disulfide particles, forming a special coating that would be fused to the surface of the projectile by the heat generated when they were fired. What's more, the old man had actually cut subtle grooves into them that aligned perfectly with the rifling of the barrel. And these would supposedly generate additional propulsive power from the very air the bullets would be cutting through in flight. In short, every single one of these rounds was a tiny, lethal work of art. The written instructions the old man had handed her strongly emphasized that she wouldn't be able to touch the bullets with her bare hands. Oh, shit. And every one of them had been packed in an individual plastic bag filled with inert gas in order to prevent oxidation.
ほう鉄砲屋もいろんなことを考えつくもんなのよさ
God damn.
これで当たんなかったら私がヘボってことになっちゃうか
Rather than racking her brains over the task at hand, she would have preferred to fire off a few shots to get a feel for the gun. But that obviously wasn't an option. She had no choice but to wait until the last possible moment to test fire and zero her rifle. With the weapon now fully assembled, she fixed it in position on the bipod. She'd left the bullets sealed away in their airtight packages. She wasn't planning on loading them into the magazine anyway. Why risk contact between the rim of the chamber and the tip of the rounds? This thing wasn't a real semi-automatic. Might as well load every round manually.
さてふんじゃちょっくら出かけてくっかね
You just gonna leave this rifle assembled in your room? Like that's totally not... Like that's just not gonna go wrong? For now, she wanted to focus on the tasks at hand. All that was left was an inspection of the target area and then the installation of her monitoring equipment. Opening her backpack, she packed in a few wind gauges that would beam their data to her via satellite, then added an old-fashioned analog tool, a roll of plastic packing rope. There were two potential lines of fire to account for, and it wasn't practical to cover both with nothing but expensive digital devices. She decided to work around that by leaving lengths of rope tied up at the halfway points between her gauges. Okay. That way, she could at least look through her scope to get a visual sense of the way the wind was moving. Okay, no, that's fair, that's fair. She's giving herself a main way and a backup way to see what direction's everything going. And can at least estimate how hard the wind is blowing. Okay. Smart. Very smart. Once everything was in place, she'd spend the rest of the afternoon leisurely riding her bike around the target areas. Actually moving around a given area gives you a very different feel for it than peering at it through the scope of your rifle. And that difference in perception can seriously affect your accuracy. Machina had learned that much while simulating ultra-long-range precision sniping with her air rifle, under the instruction of Kazumi Yuji. Keep bringing up his goddamn name, huh? When you manage to hit a target no bigger than a speck, even when observed through a high magnification lens, this sort of simple, scrupulous preparation was the single most crucial factor in ensuring your success. Are we back at the hotel again? Nope.
セーブしないんだからね
Alright, 56% of the way there. Back in the day, motor vehicles came equipped with a warning system that would play a sound when the driver exceeded a set speed. Sometimes this would be a tinny electronic beep or a rhythmical chime. And a few even tinkled carefully at you like the bell carried by a Buddhist pilgrim. You gotta go? Okie dokie, Nick. Thanks for stopping in. I hope you have a good rest of your night. The VOD will be up on YouTube by about 4 o'clock EST tomorrow. As per usual, if you want to catch it there. I'm getting pretty good about not forgetting to upload VODs. Getting pretty good about that. Those alarms were mostly a thing of the past. The car Amane was presently driving, however, had an organic warning system. One that produced rather less pleasant sounds. It's Michiru, isn't it? It's gonna be Michiru, isn't it? Yep, it's Michiru. Fucking Michiru. God damn Michiru, of course. Of course. Holy Moses! Its name, the Matsushima Speed Alarm System. This was an extremely sensitive system, prone to activating at the drop of a hat. For example, say the car in front of you turned at an intersection. Simply pushing down on the accelerator to close the open space on the road would be enough to trigger the alarm. No matter if you're merely speeding up to keep pace with the rest of the traffic, you'd still be treated to a nauseating chorus of The only way for Amane to avoid this was to position her vehicle with the utmost care, avoiding any sudden movements or shifts in momentum. It was, to be perfectly honest, a real pain in the butt.
まあね、一度でも人の運転する車でひどい目に遭うとそうなるのはわかるし、その原因を作ったのは私なんだけどさ。この車なら荷台から落ちることもないんだし、こうして普通に運転しててもケポケポしちゃうのはどうにかならないかな。
無理。なんかこう頭で分かってても体が逃げ出そうとするのよ。
I mean, you're in a car with Amane. Yeah, you're right to be afraid.
つうかさ、あの荷台から落ちた時だって他の荷物は落ちなかったのに、なんであんただけ落ちたの？
わかんない。荷台の上に立ってたからかも。前を見てたらふっと気が抜けたっていうか。
Oh my god.
ああ、なんかわかる気がする。
She'd probably gotten drunk on the speed. It doesn't really happen when you're inside a car, but if you spend too long tearing down the highway on a motorcycle or something, it can do funny things to your brain. When you move at a high speed for an extended period of time, the road ahead starts to grow strangely vivid, and it almost feels like the world around you is frozen in place. It might sound ridiculous, but Amane had personally experienced a powerful urge to step off her fast-moving motorcycle onto the road. Damn!
なんだろう、子供が回ってる扇風機に指を突っ込みたくなるような感覚？そういうの何現象っていうのかな？
Touch ow! Touch ow! Touch ow! Kids are stupid. We'll do stupid shit like that all the time. We will do really stupid shit like that all the time, you know? We always did that. Every time. It hurts, but we just can't stop. We couldn't stop. So maybe this time it won't.
知らないわよ。とにかく安全運転でお願い。
The best way to prevent car sickness is usually to look in the same direction as the driver, allowing your body to anticipate the movements of the car. But in Michiru's case, it just didn't seem to be doing much good whatsoever. Amane didn't have much choice but to move along slowly and carefully, trying to minimize any kind of shaking motion. Delicately manipulating the brake and throttle, she tried to keep the car's weight evenly distributed across all four of its tires, pretending that she was winding her way up an icy mountain road covered in salt. The drive took a bit longer than it otherwise would have, but eventually, Higashi Nagasaki Station came into view. That was where she'd be dropping off Michiru.
もうすぐ着くよ。っていうか、あんた一人で大丈夫なの？
I mean, she's got no choice.
何が？
何がって、あんたこれから有事の会社の人に会って 有事の荷物を受け取ってくるんだよ。
It's okay. Just let the
よく知りもしない相手だし、
just
一人で怖くないの？
just let the second personality take over.
まあ全く不安がないわけじゃないけど、よく知らない人と取引するのにはもういい加減慣れたわよ。少なくとも日本語は通じる相手だろうし。
Yeah, you're not gallivanting across the whole fucking planet this time. You're not just traveling all over the world. Randomly shaking hands, making deals, giving people beer money, apparently. Sorry, I was just checking something really fast. You know, my usual. Okay, I'm back. Time to spill the tea. Okay, Golden, spill that tea of the wedding crasher while I continue with this. Actually, I really gotta pee. So actually, I'm gonna BRB. Keep spilling the tea. I will be back and we'll be in awe over the audacity. So yeah, be right back. Back. Alright, let's see what we got from you, Golden. So as we all know, I work at a zoo. Okay. Didn't actually know that, but cool to know. Or maybe I did and it was so long since you mentioned it I forgot. Regardless. Said zoo also hosts weddings. We had someone come in, say they were with X wedding. We have 3 weddings tonight, and he made his way to the reception area instead of the ceremony area. Not uncommon, reception areas where the bathrooms are. Okay, fair. Fair enough. He trashed the gift bridal party table, smashed framed photos, flipped appetizers that were present except... Oh my god. A few of the middle-aged men guests tackled him, had him in a wrist lock, back of his neck had a hand on it and another on his other wrist where he was escorted to the gate. Our security team got there and had him cornered and sitting down while we called the police. Security started questioning him. He'd only respond with yes, no, or nothing at all. Police arrived, they questioned him, but same thing. But they start with, hey buddy, remember us? We arrested you not too long ago. Oh my god. They gave him a choice of walking out or in handcuffs. He didn't say anything. They got on gloves, he got up and walked out. Once outside the gates, he sprinted away and police followed. Oh my god. Holy shit. We now have security monitoring all exterior cameras to make sure he doesn't climb any walls or anything. We have a security guard stationed directly at the gate and police staying in the nearby park for immediate action if needed. We just saw him walk by not too long ago, and we have an eye on him to make sure he doesn't smash cars or slash tires. Honestly, we have no idea if he's a disgruntled ex or someone who is high or drunk, but the groom didn't recognize him at least. Oh my god. Oh my god. Wow. Dude is definitely cuckoo. Holy shit. So, you don't even know if this dude is just walking into a random ass fucking wedding or not. Oh my. Holy fuck. Oh my god. Wow. Just wow. Wow, just holy fuck. Oh, I actually have an emote for this. I actually do have an emote for this from one of the hypes. Golden has spilled the tea. Oh, that is insane. God, you hear about people crashing weddings. You never think you'd actually, really hear about it from somebody you know, either. Just straight up oh. That sucks, though. They go in there, they smash presents and frames and everything. Like, damn. That's actually quite a damper on their wedding day. That something like that had to happen.
あんたってさ、なんかそういうとこすごいよね。この前の牛連れたおばちゃんとかさ、知らない人に平気で声かけるし。
私はね、嫌われる前に嫌われるようなツンデレはしないのよ。常に相手より先に嫌うには先制攻撃よ。
全然わかんないけど、なんだか強気だなとは思う。
つまりそういうことよ。
ごめん、本気でわかんない。あんたってさ、自分の頭の中で出た結論を人に伝えるの本当にへったくそだよね。
さいはね、だからうまくいくんだってタナトスさんは言ってたんだからね。
まあわかるけどさ。
Taken to a certain extreme, stupidity can be charming, in the way you'd find a dim-witted pet adorable. Of course, the whole idea of pets was a uniquely human concept, wasn't it? Perhaps there was something in the genes handed down from the days when our ancestors lived in trees that quietly compelled us to protect creatures, like Matsushima Michiru. Pondering these matters quietly, Amane watched as her friend climbed out of the car, bid her a cheerful goodbye, and waddled off bow-legged down the street.
さて、それじゃあ私も車受け取りに行ってくるか。
Retrieving the map she'd made herself last night, Amane tossed it onto the passenger seat Michiru had been occupying and glanced over at it. Her new vehicle was waiting in the parking garage of a shopping center in Itabashi. She knew the place, had a large, popular movie theater inside. In the period just after the disaster, when every moment she spent in school had been pure torture, she'd once skipped a day and watched a movie there. Fortunately enough, she was already quite tall by then, so they didn't really look at her like a truant student in her everyday clothes. What was the movie I saw again? The title wasn't coming to mind. She seemed to remember it was a Western film starring some famous actor in the role of a street racer. I'm not sure. Vin Diesel? Did she go and fucking watch Fast and the Furious? At first, she hadn't even been planning to see a movie. She'd just gotten on a train, then let it carry her along. And after a bit of aimless wandering, she'd happened to find herself in front of a theater. There wasn't anything she particularly wanted to see. But after heading inside to kill some time, she soon found herself buying a ticket for a car movie anyway. Somehow or other, automobiles always seem to find their way into her life. Wonder what this new car is going to be like. After they rescued Yuji, it would need to carry him, Amane, Michiru, Makina, and Sachi. So at the very least, they needed space for 5 people. Obviously, that meant it wouldn't be a 2-seater sports car. From what Thanatos had said, they were dealing with armed soldiers, and there was a possibility they'd come under attack. Maybe it would be a thick, sturdy vehicle? Then again, she described it as lightweight, so a clunky hunk of armor on wheels didn't seem particularly likely. Thanatos claimed to have taken her preferences into account, but who knew what she meant by that? Or even meant whatever. Blech. In any case, once Amane switched over to the new vehicle, she'd have to say goodbye to the lovely Cross 4 she was currently driving. That was a bit of a bummer. They hadn't been together for very long, but this car had served her well. It was a pity she didn't have the time to give him a courtesy run through the car wash. Sorry about that. And thanks for everything. Tapping her fingers fondly on the steering wheel, Amane made sure to express her gratitude as well as her regrets. Not long after passing the local train station, the shopping center came into view. Approaching the parking garage, Amane poked her car's nose up at the gate, rolled down her window, and grabbed a ticket from the machine. Once inside, she guided the cross-4 up the spiraling slope, ignoring the grinding of the mechanical LSD. And after reaching the 5th level, she pulled it neatly in the first available space. All she had to do was leave it here with the key in the ignition. Someone had been hired to pick it up and take it back to the rental company. While it felt a bit awkward to leave the car sitting there unlocked, her top priority at the moment was finding the parking spot marked number 12. Presumably, the new car had also been left unlocked for her. She was a bit nervous someone might have stolen it. The spot Amane had parked in was number 28. After orienting herself, she headed down toward the lower numbers. As she walked past spots number 24 and 25, the Thanatos phone in her pocket suddenly began to vibrate.
何これ
When Amane retrieved the phone from her pocket, she found a message reading, "Registered vehicle within 20 meters" on the screen, with a button below it marked Identify.
押すの
Couldn't hurt to give it a try, right? When she tapped the button, something nearby let out a cutesy little beep beep. Looking in the direction of the sound, she noticed a vehicle about 20 meters away that was flashing its hazard lights to inform her of its location.
嘘特捜車ってまさ
Oh
か
no.
これ
Oh no. Thanatos had described it as light, fast, and easy to drive. To be sure, this met all of those criteria. Nonetheless, the vehicle sitting demurely in spot number 12 was basically the last thing Amane had expected to find there. What the fuck did the chief get? What's so special about this thing? Walking up to her new ride, Amane began a more thorough inspection. What the hell is it? First, she circled all around it and observed it from multiple angles. After a bit of prodding, tapping, and pushing at the frame, she squatted down to get a better look at the tires. At the very least, this wasn't a standard model. What the fuck is it? That much was clear enough, but she couldn't help feeling more than a little let down. In fact, her current emotions were perhaps best expressed by the phrase, "The heck, man?" Still, there wasn't much point complaining. No matter what kind of car she was given, Amane's job was to drive it according to her orders. Sliding into the driver's seat, she breathed in a lungful of new car smell and brought her hands to the wheel. For some reason, it felt as comfortable as slipping her feet into a familiar pair of shoes. With the twist of the key already sitting in the ignition, she tried starting the car. After a momentary pause, it rumbled to life. From the sound of things, it had a high-compression engine. The grumbling, grouchy sound it emitted while idling was a bit like the growl of a lion. To Amane's ears, it suggested a certain fierceness. She didn't trust aftermarket temperature gauges, but they were good enough for rough estimates. Watching as the needle rose slowly up towards 65 degrees, she gently shifted into first gear and released the clutch. There was more torque in the lower gears than she expected. They might have increased the engine's displacement. As she slowly eased the car forward, all the displeasure she'd felt only moments before melted away in an instant. And in its place, excitement bubbled up irrepressibly within her. It was immediately obvious this really was a special vehicle. They're not going to tell us what it is, are they? They're never going to tell us what this actual car fucking is. Even just the goofy thing. Oh. What in the hell even is this damn car? Struggling with the temptation to find some place where she could play around with her shiny new toy, Amane turned the wheel and set off toward her rendezvous with Michiru. Okay, that was her part.
セーブしないんだからね。
Oh, we're still in 2, right? Okay. Now then, as for Komine Sachi. Dressed, as always, in an impeccably neat maid uniform, she was cheerfully dragging a cart that held an enormous travel bag up and down the aisles of a hardware store. At a glance, one might have assumed she was a servant from some mansion who'd been given leave and was now buying the things she'd need for her journey back home. But the items she was purchasing were far too peculiar. Oh god. What shit is she buying? What crazy ass shit is she buying? Butane gas for use with camp stoves, large quantities of aluminum foil, boxes of bath salts, aluminum plumbing pipes. What the fuck are you making? Bags of chemical fertilizer from the gardening department, 3 large plastic boxes. The list went on and on. After grabbing item after item off the shelves seemingly at random, she'd finished up by seizing the store's pharmacy's entire supply of bandages and disinfectant. What the fuck? What the fucking Christ, dude?
あれもこれも買ったし、なんだろう、まだ何か足りないような気がする。
With preparations of this sort, it always felt like something was missing, no matter how much you bought. But if you went overboard, transporting and storing your gear would become a major issue. The key was identifying the things you absolutely needed, then packing them as compactly as possible. That meant leaving out anything you could easily obtain on-site or replace with a substitute of some kind. Even medical supplies were no exception. While it might sound extreme, as long as you had painkillers for internal injuries and disinfectant for external wounds, you could figure out the rest as you went. After carefully reviewing everything she'd bought at the hardware store, Sachi proceeded to divide the supplies among her 3 plastic boxes. The plan was to create 3 emergency bug-out boxes to be placed in various locations. She'd leave one of them among the bushes in a small park just across the road. Once the rest of her gear was hidden along their anticipated escape routes, Sachi herself would be able to travel rather lightly. And should she ever need to resupply, she could do so quickly and easily by retrieving her caches from their hiding spots. Okay, pretty smart. This was the Project Chipmunk to which Thanatos had referred. The boxes themselves didn't take long to pack. All she had to do now was hide them in various crucial locations, and stage 1 of the plan would be complete. First up was the little park. There were a number of tiny green spaces like this one in the neighborhood, often serving no apparent purpose. Many of them actually contained storage sheds full of firefighting gear or emergency equipment for use in a disaster, and some even hid entrances to underground facilities of some sort. But for the most part, they weren't designed as recreational spaces for children or families. That meant the box she left here almost certainly wouldn't be discovered, unless some degenerate who enjoyed skulking around in the bushes happened to stumble across it. Of the remaining boxes, she'd leave one in the coin-operated lockers of a public baseball stadium near her anticipated escape route. Then pack the other in a cardboard box and have a luggage shipping service send it to a conveniently located office. That made 2 standard resupply caches she could easily retrieve herself, and 1 backup cache with the logistics in the hands of a shipping company. Okay, pretty smart. She'd have 3 different cards she could play depending on how the situation developed.
うまくいくのかな。
I mean, do you really have much of a choice at this point? Preparing for the unseen was a task that involved dwelling endlessly on worst-case scenarios. Having completed her initial preparations, Sachi had paused briefly to consider her next move. And in that moment, a sudden wave of anxiety and fear had washed over her. Inevitably, her mind had returned to the most basic of questions. Were they really going to pull this off? Was this really going to work? It wasn't that she had any complaints regarding Project Chipmunk. She was second-guessing her own choices, asking herself if enlisting in this war had been the correct decision. It's too late to get cold feet now. It's too late to get cold feet, Sachi. Her faith in this mission was all she had to stand on, but as she labored away alone, that faith had begun to tremble beneath her feet. She had to carry out her duties all alone. That solitude gave rise to fear. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. Ah. Gotta quote fucking Yoda, guys. You gotta quote Yoda. Hey. That's just always what's gonna come to mind. But she knew what to do. Komine Sachi knew exactly what to do. When you're about to fall apart, go ahead and eat your lunch. Those were the words of Suo Amane, Warrant Officer First Class. Don't give out ranks, that's stolen valor, don't do that. Who provisioned all of the Mihama Woman's core meals. She had spoken them this morning while handing Sachi her boxed lunch. When your halt falters, take a moment to nourish your body. While you fill your empty belly, think of the comrades you've shared meals with. Remember the faces you've seen around your table. As she stood anxiously hugging the shoulders of her maid uniform, Sachi's gaze had found its way to the fighter pilot lunch that Amane had packed for her.
お弁当。
Reaching out to the box, Sachi retrieved a long sushi roll and took a big bite. Within moments, she could feel the anxiety in her heart begin to melt away. When she closed her eyes, she could see her friends gathered around the dinner table. The image was vivid and clear. What sort of expressions did they have on their faces? They were smiling. Every last one of them. It was the very picture of a harmonious family. Aww. This was why Sachi had chosen to fight. She could do anything for those people. The chance to bask in this warmth again. The flavor of cucumber, dried gourd, tuna in mayonnaise, natto, and salmon spread slowly across her tongue. It was the familiar taste of Warrant Officer Suo's cooking style. Don't whatever. Just LARP. Enjoy LARPing. Making quick work of the sushi, Sachi washed it down with the pleasantly fizzy cider. By the time she finished, not even the slightest tinge of fear remained in her heart.
これで私は10年戦える。
So long as you can remember the smiles of your comrades, you can keep fighting. With that conviction burning in her breast, Sachi marched off toward her post with a spring in her step. Oh, back to, Yumiko now, huh?
セーブしないんだからね。
Oh, still on 2, eh? And as many of her field agents were struggling with their doubts and fears, Sakaki Yumiko was sitting alone in the houseboat with her headphones on, listening to music on her laptop. Everyone was preparing for combat. This was an absolutely crucial period of time. And for that very reason, it was important to rest when she had the chance. The gentle melodies flowing into her ears were immensely soothing. When she focused on them, it almost felt as if the chaotic events that would soon be unfolding were already a thing of the past. They're all stressing out, trying to figure this shit out, and Yumiko's just like, I'm jamming them with my tunes. I'm hydrated, unbothered, in my lane. No fucks given right now. But just as Yumiko was starting to relax in earnest, she noticed a peculiar sound underneath the music. It almost felt like a quiet voice was whispering something to her through the headphones. The fuck? Was it just her imagination? She thought she could hear someone resentfully speaking the word senpai. She had heard the absurd old urban legends about cursed CDs and such, but surely had to be some other explanation. Is this just Thanatos fucking with her? This is 100% just Thanatos fucking with her. Straining her ears, she tried to focus on the peculiar sound. Letting out a shriek that she wouldn't have believed herself capable of producing, Yumiko tumbled backward out of the chair she'd been seated in.
あらら、びっくりさせすぎちゃった？ごめんなさい。タナトスです。
Tangled up in a jumble of intense emotions, Yumiko struggled just to speak coherently. But by the time she forced out the phrase, "Good Lord," her mind had finally managed to resume something resembling functional activity. Lifting herself up off the floor, where she'd been lying on her back like a wrestler who'd been hit with a German suplex, she hurriedly pulled her skirt back into place. What the...
結構派手なパンツがお好み？別にいいでしょ。見てるんじゃないわよ。
Being called plain and boring all the time had started to get under her skin. Perhaps it was a bit silly to start off by changing her underwear, but no one had the right to mock her for trying. Clearing her throat, she tried to push these thoughts from her mind.
それで？それは2週間前にネットで買ったパンツ？
Oh my god.
パンツの話じゃないわよ。何か用事があったから声をかけたんでしょ？プランの最終確認よ。
Then why in God's name hadn't she said so in the first place?
現時刻の段階でプランの変更はなし。ただし、プランの追加があります。
Are the additions Chizuru and JB?
追加？余計な仕事が増えるという意味ではありません。これまで通りの最適なプラン A、ベストを捨てたベターなプラン B の他に、さらに条件の厳しくなったプラン C。
Now they brought up Plan C. Plan C is what's gonna happen.
さらには徐々に配線の色が濃くなるプラン D。いろいろなものを諦めて最優先事項のみに集中するプラン E。そして最悪とも言えるプラン F まで、とりあえず6通りのプランを用意しました。
6 plans in total.
まあでしょうね。人員、機材、時間を考慮すれば、それこそいくらでもプランは立てられる。
中には誰かを犠牲にしてでも目的を達するプランもあります。他の子たちには説明できません。時には最善どころか事前、事前を捨てるケースもあるでしょう。犠牲を出す前にミッションフェイルドのタイミングを決めるのはあなたに一任します。つまり作戦は立案するし、状況に応じてミッションのアペンド指示は出しますが、それに従うか否かはあなたの判断に委ねますということです。
あなたはアナライザーであり、アドバイザーであって、 命令はしないということね。
Okay.
その通り。所詮私は機械です。機械の出す答えというのはいつだってその時はそれが最善だったという結果になりがち
And
です。
just because the computer thinks statistically, yeah, this will work. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of other factors that a human needs to consider.
多くの意味を含めた遺恨を残さないという意味でも、最後は現場の人間の判断に委ねるのが一番間違いがありません。
遠回しな説明はいらないわ。結局はどんな結果になろうと現場指揮官の私の責任ということでしょ。今朝みんなを送り出す時に訓示をしたのだけれど、私も同じようなことをみんなに言ったわ。イリスさんに松島さん、スオーさんに小峰さん、それぞれが自己の責任において行動しているように、あなたのせいにはしないから安心して。
そう。では新しく追加されたプラン C から F までの概要は
Okay.
あなたのパソコンに転送しておきます。軽くでいいから目を通しておいて。
ねえ、タナトスさん、あなた途中でいなくなるの？
Oh?
あら、気がついた？
Oh.
プランはできるだけ単純に2通りって絞ったのに、今の段階になってプランを増やして、しかもそれを私に説明しておく必要って、あなたがいなくなる以外で何かある？こうしてわざわざ連絡してきて、タナトスシステムには依存するな、全ては自己判断だと釘を刺したのも、あなたがいなくなるからでしょ。
その可能性もあるというだけの話よ。必ずいなくなると決まっているわけではないわ。忘れていないとは思うけれど、今こうしてあなたと会話している私はタナトスシステムの一部です。いつ私の行動がメインシステムに発見されて停止させられるか分かりません。
待って、その情報私聞いた？
どの情報？
あなたがタナトスシステムの一部だという話は聞いていたけれど、今回の行動がメインシステムの認知していない行動で発覚すれば阻止されるという話は聞いてないの？
国家の危機に対して美浜の学生たちを利用するなんてプロポーズが認可されるはずないじゃない。当然メインのシステムには内密だし、もし発覚すれば作戦の即時中止と私の停止命令が出ます。
So, yeah, you're giving her all the possible plans to use in case you are found out and can no longer contact them.
そんな大事なことを。
Because then you wouldn't go along with this plan because you would have no backup.
別に隠すつもりはなかったし、聞かれたら答えるつもりだったわ。それに私がいなければ何もできないわけでもないでしょ。事実、私がいなければ何もしなかった？
それは。
私が健在なうちは出せる情報と提案は出します。けれど私がいつまでも健在だとは思わないことと、私を信用しすぎないこと。言った通り、電子制御に頼りすぎれば必ずミスが出ます。私にできることは情報の収集、分析、そして提案、この3つだけ。メインシステムが国家を手足とするように、サブシステムである私の手足があなたたちということ。そして時には頭で考えるより体が先に動くこともある。お分かり？
Okay.
ええ。
そんなに不安そうにしなくても、私との連絡がつかなくなることを織り込んだプランも用意してあるわ。ちなみにプラン D では電車を逃走に使用するケースが考慮されているけれど、さすがの私でも信号切り替えや乗り入れは人間が操作しているからコントロールはできないわ。それと万が一タナトスシステムがヒースオスロの手に落ちたりしたよ
Then
うな場合
you're
は
just completely fucked.
間違っても私を助けようなどとは思わないこと。
Yeah, you're not going to be able to... You're not going to be able to get anything back from an actual international wanted terrorist that the world's governments haven't been able to capture yet.
いい？今回の作戦で切り捨てていいものがあるとすれば、それは私だけ。わかった？
スオさんはあなたを見捨てることに大反対するでしょうね。
それを言いくるめるのもあなたの仕事よ。
嫌な仕事ね。
だからいいお給料がもらえるのよ、司令官って。
そうが一番気楽だって言われてるわけが分かった気がするわ。
Oh my god, Michiru.
セーブしないんだからね。
Just saving after each one, because you never know when it's the next scene, technically. Alright, let's keep going a little bit more, you know? At the same time this conversation was taking place, Matsushima Michiru was waiting in the park where her meeting would take place, staring intently at a housewife who was walking her dog. Oh my god, Michiru. The job itself was a simple errand. She just had to be at a certain place to receive certain items from a certain person. The location wasn't an issue. It was a public park with plenty of foot traffic, so she probably wasn't going to get shot dead on the spot. That said, the person she was waiting for was an employee of Yuji's company. From what she'd heard, it sounded like the kind of place that went out of its way to hire people with lots of skeletons in their closet. So the person she'd be meeting here almost certainly had some kind of ugliness in their past. More to the point, she was here to pick up the belongings of a wanted man from a possibly dangerous person. It was easy to imagine how things could go wrong. The longer she spent turning these thoughts around in her mind, the more everything around her started to look suspicious. By this point, she'd managed to become outright paranoid.
怪しい。
Oh my god.
犬連れたおばちゃん怪しい。
ちょっと少しは落ち着きなさいよ。君すごい汗だよ。
あのおばちゃん、工作員だ。犬の散歩に見せかけて、私のことずっと監視してるんだ。
Other Michiru, could you take over, please?
何を根拠に。
だって犬の散歩なのに、あのおばちゃんずっと犬を抱っこしてる。
まあ言いたいことはわかるけど、そういう人もいるって。
きっとあの手に下げたビニール袋の中にコルトを隠してるわね。そんで私が少しでも隙を見せたらズドンってする気だよ。間違いない。
Blammo!
ビニール袋の中身は犬の排泄物だと思うけどな。
きっとその犬のうんちを私に投げつけて殺す気だ。
This is the one I chose, guys. This is the one I chose.
落ち着きなさい。確かに死にたい気持ちにはなるかもしれないけれど、死にはしないから。っていうか、あのおばちゃんは関係ないから。
じゃあなんでずっと私のことじっと見てるの？
Because you're staring at her like a weirdo.
青い顔して冷や汗だらだら垂れ流しながらずーっと独り言をブツブツ言ってるからじゃない？そのうち通報されるわね。パトカーと救急車、どっちが迎えに来るのかしら。
何よそれ。
あ、車が来たわ。
パトカー、救急車、どっち？
同じものが見えてるくせに。
わかってるわよ。ちょっとボケてみただけじゃん。
There was no joke. But okay. A dingy white van had pulled up to the curb just outside the park. Blue letters on its side spelled out the name of a certain janitorial company, the public face of Yuji's employer. The sight of small white automobiles like this one tended to bring back some unpleasant memories for Michiru. But in any case, it seemed to be that the person she was waiting for had finally arrived.
どうしよう。
Oh yeah, psych
ちょっ
ward.
と怖い。どうする？私が行こうか。いい。なんか最近頼ってばっかだったし、自分で行く。そう。じゃあ頑張って。
Everything was going to be fine. She was, after all, a tsundere. That meant no one could resist her charms. Nothing could compete with the power of a tsundere. But might I bring forth and present a second tsundere? Take the domestic cat, for example. This was an animal with no real redeeming features except its own cuteness. How, one might ask, had such a creature not been wiped out long ago? The answer was simple. Cats survived because they were tsunderes. Perhaps it wasn't especially dignified for human beings to lower themselves to the feline's level in order to make their way through this cold, hard world. But the way she saw it, her life hadn't been too bad after she chose to take on her current role. And so, Matsushima Michiru's faith was firm. The power of tsundere would see her through, but you're a very bad tsundere.
ちょっと、あんたが運びや。
おい、年上に向かってあんたとはなんだこれ。
God damn it, Michiru. Matsushima Michiru's faith was shaken. Within the first 3 seconds of this conversation, her rock-solid belief in tsundere supremacy had given way beneath her. She was so terrified that she wanted to cry. Suddenly overwhelmed by anxiety that had been building up inside her for some time, Michiru retreated inside her own mind, forcing her other self to take over.
行ったそばからか。
なんだ、何をブツブツ言ってやがる。
ああ、ごめんなさい。私、海外が長かったから、日本語って苦手なのよね。
まあいいさ。年下のくせに年上をあんた呼ばわりするやつは他にも心当たりがある。
荷物を持ってきてくれた？
ああ、いつも通り後ろの荷室に入ってるよ。
どれがそうなの？なんだか荷物だらけでよくわからない。というか、この扉どうやって開けるの？
めんどくせえなもう。つかお前も荷物受け取りに来たなら作業服ぐらい着てこいよ。目立って仕方がねえだろうが。
私に言われたって知らないわよ。私はただここで荷物を受け取れって言われてきただけだもの。
Okay, you're just playing it off like they just told me to come here. What do you want me to do about it?
これだよ。アルミのケースとリュックサック。
Ah, good job, Ueda. Wait, don't I know him?
あら、ご親切にありがと
う。受け取ったらさっさとどっか行け。これ以上目立ちたくない。
何も聞かないのね。
お前が荷物受け取るのが仕事なのと同じで、俺は荷物を届けるのが仕事だ。それ以外のことは聞かないのがルールだし、聞きたくもないね。どこの誰が出したかもわからない上からの命令は、9029の荷物を指定の場所に届けろだ。それ以外はお前がどこの人間だろうが俺の知ったこっちゃない。
Perfect.
というのはまあ建前だがな。
Personally?
事情は大体察してる。おもちゃが必要なんだろ。
さあ、それこそ私は荷物の中身が何なのかすら知らないわ。
まあ細かいことはどうでもいい。9029にはよろしく言っといてくれ。
He fucking knows. He fucking knows. Yep. I don't want to know the details, but I have an idea of what you guys are doing. Good luck. He's just like, my professional opinion, I don't care. That is my professional stance, but personally, yeah, say hi to Yuji. Fucker knows they're trying to bust him out, but he's not gonna stop him. With that parting remark, the man climbed back into his van and drove off down the street.
よろしくだってよろしくって言われてもな私今の人の名前も知らないのに
Michiru had basically been telling the truth. She didn't know much, and she probably couldn't have explained the things she did know particularly well. Had the man been completely on the company's side, he might have taken her into custody as a suspected accomplice of Kazumi Yuji. But they probably wouldn't have gained any accurate information from questioning her. Even if they'd subjected her to torture that could break a well-trained soldier, or injected her with truth serum, it wouldn't have changed a thing. Michiru just didn't understand the details of the plan, and she couldn't tell them what she didn't know. It was a slightly unnerving thought, but maybe that was part of the reason the Thanatos system had chosen her for this specific mission.
私みたいな生き方って辛いと思ういいえ随分と楽に生きてるなって思うわだよね
As she mumbled those words to herself in a self-deprecating tone of voice, Michiru hefted Yuji's surprisingly heavy rucksack onto her back, then lifted up the hefty aluminum case. The handle dug sharply into her fingers. What the heck's inside this thing anyway? She was a bit curious, but it probably wasn't the best idea to open it up. Odds were there was some kind of gun in there. Like a Colt or whatever. Not that she knew anything about that stuff. How am I gonna explain this if I run into a policeman or something? Trying her best not to think about it, she set off for the place where she'd be meeting with Ambane. Learn to fucking speak, Baron. Learn to speak. Ag. Okay.
セーブしないんだからね
Alright, well. I'm actually getting really hot right now. Like, I'm just like kind of starting to sweat and stuff. I think it's partially because of this. And I don't know, it's kind of rainy out there, so it's a little more stuffy in here. We didn't have the air on until a lot later, so the house wasn't consistently cool. So I'm gonna end about now. We still got about 2 hours in. We got a little bit further, so we didn't rescue Yuji yet. We haven't rescued him yet. We're getting there, though. We will rescue him, though. It is happening. But what is happening right now, though, for the rest of this week, i.e. tomorrow, we get Pokemon Emerald. Get back to the good old Hoenn region and continue on from where we are. And just have a good time, you know? I'm going to work on the schedule for next week. It's probably going to more or less be the same. Maybe obviously change what Monday is to something else. Thursday may or may not still be Power World. We will see. We will see. But for sure, as always expect Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to be Hacker's Memory, Eden of Grisaia, and Pokemon Emerald. Those three are just a given right now. Alright. So. There. Just have me sitting up there. Why not? Just why not? Nero on one corner, Nursemon on the other, and then me sitting in the middle on the banana. Alright. Anyway, everyone, thank you for watching, commenting, and lurking. Appreciate it very, very much. Yeah, we will be back tomorrow about 6 o'clock for some Pokemon Emerald. Until then, though, I hope you all have yourselves a great rest of your night, and I'll see you next time.